Hello, we're back again. It's the last tertiary objective for this painting challenge. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the units I painted up and some of their background fluff that I kind of thought up while painting them. So this autocannon heavy weapon team has two privates serving, designation number 968-456-991 and 992. And the reason why they have consecutive numbers is actually because they are brothers and was conscripted into the Krieg forces at the same time. They served on racks and wasn't originally in the same units, but as the racks campaign continued on and the casualties mounted, by pure chance they ended up in the same heavy weapon team. And as they are both very skilled, they actually survived the whole campaign, and to this day they continue to serve together in this team, currently assigned with an autocannon. And they have been put under direct command from this command squad that also served in the Rax campaign. Sorry, I'm just gonna adjust my high-tech camera rig here. I already talked about these guys. The Krieg forces are in this army are battling alongside the Gelswick 92nd Rifles, and the performance from this command squad has earned them a nickname, or a kind of a nickname, as the Reapers, because of their ruthlessness in combat and effectiveness. So this heavy weapon team and this command squad actually deploy together most of the time for special duties. And then we continue over here, and we have the two commissars. In the back we have Commissar Payne, brother to Commissar Bain, who's well known in the YouTube community, and he's mounted atop his trusty steed Brutus. Commissar Payne is of course still surveying the trench works and still looking for his sidearm. But when the fighting starts, he will be deployed with the rest of the Death Rider squads, the Death Rider reconnaissance squads. And in front of him, of course, the well-known and loved Commissar Yarrick, and I don't think he needs any special mention regarding his fluff. He's well known for his epic struggle with the Orc warlord Gaskul Mag Uruk-Thraka on Armageddon, and is served with this army on occasion. And then we have this infantry squad. This infantry squad doesn't have any special nicknames or commendations, because they are newly conscripted from Krieg and has just recently joined the ranks in this army. The only exception is this guy here, who is the squad's sergeant, and he's actually the only survivor from a previous squad that was wiped out to one man. And the Kriegs doesn't care about that, but the Gelswick troops has dubbed him Lucky Leaf, because that's his name, and they have. He's got quite a reputation. It's not well received in the vicinity of the Gelswick troops, because they think it's kind of a bad luck token. So moving on to these guys. This is the quartermaster and his retinue. By the Gelswick troops, he's known by the name the Angel of Death, and the Krieg just knows him as the quartermaster. So he goes around the battlefield and gives the Emperor's piece with his sidearm to mortally wounded soldiers and collect their gear for distribution back into the army's coffers. There was an episode early in the deployment when the Genswick and Krieg first started to serve together, where the Angel of Death was distributing the Emperor's piece to the Genswick troopers as well, and it actually almost came to blows between the two forces before Commissar Payne stepped in and mediated between the two forces, and actually managed to broker a peace where the quartermaster only tends to the Krieg troops and leave the Genswick wounded alone for their own officers to deal with. After that, there's of course been a bit of a tension between the two camps, but as the fighting has tensed up, they have learned to work with each other. The Krieg force and the Genswick force isn't all that different. The Genswick 92nd Rifles is also a trench or a siege force used to trench fighting and wars of attrition. So their fighting style is very much alike. So as the army progresses further in the campaign, they will probably have a great deal of camaraderie between them, perhaps, but time will tell about that. So yeah, that's a little ramble about the fluff for my Krieg force, and as this is the last tertiary goal, I thought I'm gonna do a little freehand camera work here for going against my own advice. So sorry about that. I'm just gonna step back here a bit. As a little bit of a treat here in the end, I thought I'd do a little overview of the rest of my Imperial Guard force. As you can see, I already have an army about I haven't tallied up the points, but in an apocalypse setting, a bit over 2,000 points. These are not all the miniatures I own, but these are the ones that I have used in the games and that are painted up currently. And one thing I have to say about the challenge is it's actually forced me to finish all these guys and make all the base work and do everything on them. But if I go over here, this is usually what happens. Somewhere in the painting process I kind of lose interest, and as you can see, the base work isn't done on these chaps. So I hope I can continue on and keep the feeling of pleasure from actually completing the miniatures and go back and finish off these guys as well. Just a quick overview. This is has been the commander for this force up until now, and he will continue to serve, of course, as the officer of the Genswick 92nd Rifles. And this is his command squad. You might recognize the radio backpack there, because it's taken from the Vostroyan kit. And actually that arm as well is looted from a Vostroyan HQ squad. And then we have this platoon command squad, all armed with flamers. It's been very effective to field them against Tyranids, and especially against the lictors that love to skulk around, and you get 4 flamer templates on them, and they can't count their saving throws for being in terrain and such, so that really hurts them. So they have about 3 or 4 lictor kills on their conscience. Then of course I have 2 infantry squads. Come on, this phone camera has a little trouble focusing when I'm doing the freehand work. So I got 2 squads with an attached priest in both, with the chainsaw thing. These Genswick troopers is actually how my Imperial Guard army started. I saw an army made by Dave Taylor who converted up Genswick troops, and they were featured in White Dwarf, and he actually has them on his blog as well. And I got so inspired, so I decided to make my own force of them. They used the Bretonnian men-at-arms bodies, and then I just used the Cadian arms and weapons, and actually separate heads with gas masks from the West Wind Games, I think they're called. They sell heads separately. Then I have my penal squad. Very fun. As you can see, they are mutants, gang members, and all kinds of scum in here. And then they have their minder in his belt. You can see that little radio control. That's for blowing their explosive colors if they get rowdy. Then I have a little force of Valhallan as well, and I think I'm going to use as conscripts in the army. I have about 20 or 30 more to add to this lot. Converted up the old rattlings to better suit the army with some heads and helmet swaps. Converted up their weapons as well with silencers. This heavy weapon, or this heavy artillery piece, I bought it like this, painted and built, and I actually think I'm gonna use this gray color for my Krieg artillery, just to differentiate them, and then I don't have to paint green all the time. And the artillery units are actually often a support element, and not necessarily from the same regiment. Then of course I love the tanks, so I have a heap of Lehman Russes, whatever they're called. This Blimpo back here, Imperius Dominatus, was actually used in a campaign as a special vehicle, and I kept it for the army. It's painted up in my colors. Got a little box of with the gun sticking out of it. Very fun to play with it. Have a little Chimera here as well, used for the HQ squad. Some big guns taken from some kind of a historical, it's not even a game, I think, some historical site with miniatures. And I have used them as heavy mortars for this army. And then I have these mortar teams. I have to add another one now that I managed to scrounge up more of those old style mortars. And of course do their bases. And these guys are just I bought a heap of Imperial Guardsmen from the Merox, and he built and painted up these so far. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna sell them on or just convert them up and make them more in line with the rest of the army. And then I have my Pride and Joy, my two, it's a Hexblade and a Baneblade. Baneblade is magnetized, the guns magnetized and such, and so is the Hexblade, so you can do the different variants of it. They are actually painted and built by Orc Painter Nerd here on YouTube. Very nice chap. So I bought them from him, and he's done a really great job with both building and painting up them. And then we have this beast back here, which is something me and the Merox once again built for an apocalypse game at the end of a campaign. It's a Leviathan command vehicle built from Imperial Bastions, and that huge stonking doomsday cannon in the front. Needs a bit of a TLC to get it up to par again. It's been sitting on a shelf for far too long. So that's a little bit of an overview over my whole army as it stands today. As I said, I have of course more units available, but they are not completely painted up, and some of them I'm not sure if I'm going to use in the army as such. I also have future plans to, of course, add the rest of the Krieg models I have, but I want to do a Cartesian force as well. I have a lot of Cartesian, both old metal ones and the newer ones, to convert up for a jungle fighting force. And then I was, as you can see, I don't have any flyer elements in this army, so I was kind of thinking I want to do a bit of a 40k version of a paratrooper army, like the Red Devils, only in 40k, with a lot of Valkyries and Vendettas and Stormtroopers and things dropping in from the sky. But that's far off in the future, of course. So I think I'm gonna end it here. I hope you liked the video. It's kind of a long one, but it was a lot of models to show off. And I will of course come back to the Imperial Guard army many times more in the future. So I hope you like them, and they will soon be back again. Hopefully pretty soon with more Krieg. So yeah, that's it. Just gonna pan a bit over. If you have any questions about anything, just put down in doobly-doo. Otherwise, have a nice day, night, evening, whatever it is where you're at, and I will see you in the next vid. Bye.